live. Yes, live from James Place. And we're talking
Barbershop Talk.
Yes, barbershop talk, where nothing is off limits and everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table. Barbershop Talk.
Come on, everybody. We're here at James Place.
Barbershop.
We're talking barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Where nothing's off limits.
Barbershop Talk.
Barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Everything's on the table.
Barbershop Talk.
Barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Barbershop talk. Everything's on the table.
Oh, what's happening, people? This is your man, Mr. Al Jones, and I am honored to be sitting in for my brother, Mr. John Milton. I am your host this evening for Barbershop Talk Live. So we want y'all to sit back. No, do not adjust your phones. Do not adjust your TV screens. None of that. We are here. This is Al Jones. And to my right, I got this gentleman right here. I know y'all probably wondering who it is that I got right here. This is the incomparable. This jack of all trades. This man got his hands in so many things. Listen, he's an entrepreneur. He's a community activist. Man, he's my brother from another mother that I ain't even know about. I want y'all to give it up for Mr. Mario Taylor. Y'all give it up for Mr. Mario Taylor this evening. Mario, how you doing, brother?
Thank you for having me.
All right, man. It's good to have you. It's good to have you.
I'm so glad to be here, man.
So listen, we gonna
finally made barbershop talk. Make me feel like I'm doing something now.
come on now, come on. That's what I'm. Listen. When I did it, I enjoyed myself. Trust me, I had a wonderful time, and we gonna have a good time this evening too. All right.
That's right.
So listen, we gonna dive straight into it. I know y'all probably wondering like what's been going on, why we ain't started a little early. Don't worry about that. But we gonna take care of this, right?
Yo.
So we gonna, like I said, we're gonna dive straight into it. So Mario, like I said, you're community activist, community advocate, entrepreneur. I got to do my research on people, right? So as I'm doing my research on you, and I'm looking, and all I'm seeing is tailor-made. So I said to myself, look, I'm not gonna ask them about every individual thing. What I want to ask you about is what's going on with Tailor-Made Enterprises? Let me ask you that question.
It's so funny, man, because for whatever reason now, that's what they call me in the city.
Come on, Tailor-Made.
I could be in a grocery store somewhere, anywhere, and there's people who don't even know me, and they'll say, "That's Tailor-Made right there."
Come on.
You know, they don't know me as Mario. They know me as Tailor-Made. You know, so I run with it. I run with it because I've put that name on so many things that I've done in this community. Which that really came from that I wanted to make my family proud of being a tailor.
I hear that.
I wanted to make that Taylor name stand out.
Okay.
When people seen me, they knew that it just didn't represent me. It represented my family.
Right.
It represented where I come from. It
Right.
represented everything that I am.
So I'm glad you touched on the name. I'm glad you touched on community and where you come from and things of that nature. Like I said, you're an Augusta native, but let's get a little deeper. Tell us, can you let the people know exactly where you're from in the city of Augusta for those who don't know?
Actually, I'm from the project. I'm a project kid.
Okay.
That had dreams of being something, despite what was around me, of what I seen. And I tell people this story all the time. I'm a high school dropout, but I knew that I wanted better. And from that moment, it was just so many things that I seen that I wanted bigger that was around me. So, and I always had this spirit of helping, but not only helping, entrepreneur, which I didn't even know what entrepreneur mean at that time. But I just knew that I can create, because that's what it was about for me, was creating. You know, so as I was creating, I touched my hands down into so many different things before I settled into where I'm at now. And where we're at now is, you know, most people know Tailor-Made Auto Center, which consists of sale of used cars. We do auto detailing. We do, we known as the $40 brake jobs.
Y'all heard that. Y'all heard that. Y'all heard
They
that.
all know. We do towing. We have tailor-made transportation, which consists of tractor trailers. I also done tailor-made promotions for a while at some point, which since COVID we hadn't done much since then. But that you never know where you may see that tailor-made brand. But when you see it, you know that it's coming from Mario Taylor.
I hear that. Okay, so now I can finally put a face with the name.
That's right.
All right,
That's
all right.
right.
So
That's
it's
right.
tailor made.
That's
That's
tailor-made.
I like that. I definitely like that. You know, me being an entrepreneur myself, I get the same thing all the time. Everybody, bike baby, bike baby, bike baby. So definitely I know exactly what it is that you're talking about.
That's right.
And the community, like you said, you're a project baby, a project kid. Let me say that. Specifically, which project were you born in, were you raised in, and things of that nature?
I was raised in Southside Terrace, which
Okay.
is known now as Dogwood,
Okay.
which is still very dear to me. Even at 53 years old, it's still very dear to me because that's kind of where I come from, the village syndromes. So with the village syndromes, that's where I develop most of my skills in terms of public relations, dealing with people. My first girlfriend, my first butt whooping, my first everything kind of happened in that project.
Okay.
So it helped mold me into who I am today.
Okay.
You know?
Okay. Okay. It helped aspire you to be the tailor-made man that you are.
It did. I mean, you know, even when we talk about entrepreneurs, and this may sound crazy, but I think back to growing up in the projects, we had the frozen cup ladies, we had the candy lady, it was always somewhat entrepreneurs around us. We didn't know what it looked like at that time or what that was.
Right.
But that's really what it was. And I can tell you I can even tell you about a story, and people who from this community will tell you, there was a white guy, we called him Mac. He had a box truck where he would come out every morning and he would set up that box truck in the black community and actually sell goods to the kids and to the you know, he would sell things like washing powder, candy, chips, honey buns. And we would all stop by that Mac truck and get now laters or whatever before we went to school. And this is what I've seen. You talking about early on at the age of maybe 7, 8, 10, 12 years old. This guy would literally come and set up, and he was a part of this community.
Right.
When you fast forward to you look in today's world now, you see box trucks with food trucks and what have you. But this is what I was exposed to very early on in my life.
Okay.
Very early. We didn't put a name, we didn't put a face to it or what it was, but that's pretty much what it was.
Right. So it's entrepreneurship. It's been in your face just about your whole life, kind of guiding you and rearing you, and us not understanding at that age what we have around us and what's going on.
Absolutely.
We just think, oh, that's Miss Jessie. That's the frozen cup lady, and we not
Absolutely.
understanding that. Nah, that's how Miss Jessie pay her bills. That's how Miss Jessie do this and do that.
Right.
So
Because I was always the guy that I absorb everything. I'm a visual. I can see it by looking at it. I'm one of those type of guys. So I'm the type of guy, if I go to a concert, I'm not necessarily watching the artist perform. I'm watching the guy standing on the side of the stage that looks like he's important. I'm watching the sound guy. I'm watching the lightings. I'm watching everything that makes this artist look good. The production of it. And that's what my focus is. My focus is, how is this happening? How is this going down? You know what I'm saying? What's making this entertainer shine the way he's shining? You know what I mean? Because it's always more to what you think you see.
Exactly.
So I absorb those kind of things. And by me absorbing that, it always said in me of being that versus that. You don't have to be up front, or you don't have to get the big applause in order to be successful. You can stay behind the scenes and be just as successful.
Okay. Yeah. And most definitely, especially with being behind the scenes, putting just the whole production and that's what makes, you know, that like you said, that's what makes that artist shine. That's what makes that artist bright. That's what, because if they were just up there singing, no microphones, no lights or anything of that nature, no music, that it really wouldn't be a show.
It's almost like Imagine Drums without a cymbal.
I like that analogy. I like that analogy. Drums without the cymbal. You need that.
You need that.
You need that.
Regardless
You definitely need
how simple
that.
it may look or seem, it's very important to how well those drums beats come across.
Now, another question I had for you, and something else I wanted to talk about, especially while I was doing my research on you, because like I said, this is our first time. A lot of people must not know this is our first time meeting.
First time.
First time.
Right.
So just I one thing that stood out to me, you when you said as I'm reading and I'm doing my research and I'm just going through the websites and stuff, and I seen on your bio two things that stood out. When you said high school dropout, right? But then right after that, like you were running for District 6 commissioner?
Yes, sir. Yes.
So let me ask, how does someone go from that to, all right, I won't run for commissioner? Where did that come from?
I didn't choose it. The people chose it. I was pulled in. It wasn't even a desire of mine to even run for commissioner. But the people around me felt like that seat was coming up, and they felt like it fit, into what I stood for. I'm always told that I'm relatable. I'm always told that I'm humble. I'm always told that I don't let my light shine bright enough because I'm too busy trying to shine a light on others. So that the people around me pushed that. But along with that I want to add, when I ran, I made a commitment to myself that if I'm going to do this, I'm not going to take any financial endorsements from any groups, organizations, previous or past politicians. I had someone in news media tell me that that they understood what I was doing, but that was bad for politics. Fast forward, I understood what that meant. But I say that to say, win, lose, or draw, my integrity means more to me than any position. So to save my integrity, I felt like that's the only way that I'm gonna do it.
Okay.
So that's what's the stance on it, and whatever the outcomes was, that's what it was. But I could stand on to say that I did it with integrity.
Okay. And speaking of integrity, let me ask you a question. What does that? Because that word integrity, it holds some weight. It's definitely a heavy word. So to you, what does that word integrity mean to you?
For me, and I'm glad you said that, because integrity can look different ways for different people. But for me, I feel like when things are monetary, when you take monetary for certain things, it makes you somewhat dedicated in my mind of you owe that person something. And I felt like if I'm speaking for the people, I don't want to speak for someone who's giving me a monetary endorsement, because I need my focus to be on the people who I'm supposed to represent. Their voice means more to me than someone's money. Because in reality, you can always get money, but relationships is something that you can always redo.
Right.
So for me, relationships is more important to me than I always call the bag. So and I try to carry that narrative anywhere I go in life.
That, you know what, I like how when you said the bag, because it's almost like that's the era that we're in right now. Everybody's trying to chase the bag, versus really building long-lasting relationships.
Right.
That's going to take you past the bag when the bag ain't there. If the bag's not there, I like how you said that. I'm gonna turn it to the chat real quick. We're gonna jump in the chat real quick because I got some people in the chat. They've been asking us some questions, and they got some questions for you. My man John, he said he wanted to say, Mario, what to you makes a successful entrepreneur?
First, the definition of entrepreneur: one who takes great risks.
Okay.
That's number one. Number two, for me, is I always tell people, you need to learn how to sing background before you sing lead.
Man, I like that.
So often you see in today's world, as it relates to entrepreneur, boss, all these types of mentalities, I feel like it's watered down.
Okay.
Because social media has made it look appealing versus a reality. That's why you see most small businesses go under in the first 5 to 10 years. because of lack of understanding, lack of resources. And I always say, study your product, understand what you're selling. You need to know more about, because I know how to bake a cake, I need to study everything about baking that cake. You know, how much I'm gonna need the product for this or that to come together, know what I need to sell this slice for to get back what I put in, and also my profit at the same time. And being in a competitive market where you're not too high, you're too low, knowing just where you need to be in terms of as a real legitimate business. Because regardless of what business you open, whatever you do, all businesses have the same format. They all work the same, supply and demand. And once you understand that, then you'll understand on what it takes to be successful.
Right.
And understanding that it's not going to happen overnight. You have to be dedicated, and you can't open up too many doors at one time. You know, when I see someone have a business card and they got all these different businesses on their business card, what that says to me as a consumer, you got too much going on. You can't cater to what I need when you got all this stuff on a one business card. Understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So to me, that's one thing for me. And I will say, as an entrepreneur, understand that there's no sick time, no vacation time, no holiday time. Most times you're going to be the first there and the last to leave. Most times in the beginning, in terms of timing, you're going to put in more time than what you're profiting, okay? But as long as you stay there long enough, you get better and better as you go. You get better and you have to be dedicated. You have to take those risks. You have to actually, you're going to miss some family time, okay? And that's another thing. It's going to take a supportive family behind you to help you be successful. Because most time your loved ones are going to be the ones who suffer the most with you not being there. I went through a stage in being an entrepreneur to where I gave more to others than I gave to my own family. My family spent less time with me than what sometimes my workers did. You know, you go back and you look at pictures and you'll see where you paid for your kids to go on a vacation, but you wasn't there. You know, so there is a give and take. But as in terms of being successful, and to me, success is not about monetary. As long as you can stay relevant, as long as you can stay consistent, as long as you can make a living and not look for the big payday, the residuals, the consistency, to me, that's successful.
Okay.
I mean, for me, I've been in this thing 30 years. And to be able to sit here and talk to you now about this, when I even sit and think right now in my mind what I've gained, what I've lost, and you bring it all together, I'm really not supposed to be here.
Come on.
I'm really not supposed to be here. So I'm humble. I always tell people, whether somebody spend $5,000 with me or whether they spend $5 with me, I look at it the same. I don't treat a $5,000 customer no different than I treat a $5 customer, because they can take that money and spend it anywhere else. If they chose to speak with me, they're buying me.
Right.
They buying my service. So that means more than they thought enough to me to come to me. And I don't even use terms of working for myself, because you always work for somebody. Whether it's someone buying something from you, or whether the laws that you got to buy by the federal government, you still work for somebody.
Nah, that is the truth. That is the
You
truth.
still got to work for somebody.
That is the truth. I work for my wife.
That too, right?
I'm working for the wife and the kids.
That
so
too.
I definitely understand that. Man, it's you know, you got a lot. It's a lot that I didn't know about you, that I'm learning about you, man.
They always say the greatest person has the most wisdom.
Come on.
So that means I got a lot of wisdom.
I'm getting there. It's coming. One thing. Hold on. I'm gonna jump back in the chat real quick. The chat So we gonna stay on the. I got you, Trav. You see, cause you jumping the gun. You jumping the gun, Trav. We gonna touch on that. But I'm gonna go back to Jay, my man Jay Mill, real quick. I see you, JB. So how do you find the right workers in your line of business? Let me ask you that. How because if I'm not mistaken, off camera we were talking about your line of business, and it seems like you deal with a lot of automotives in the automotive industry, whether it be sales, whether it be towing, things of that nature, right? So for your lineup, for your enterprise, right? How do you find the right workers or the right employees to help to help fulfill that vision?
Well, what I will say is, in the first, I will say they find me. I don't necessarily find them. It's because my platform has been built around people. So most times when people are contacting me, it's somebody who's maybe been going through something and they need more than a job. Sometimes they need a mentor. Sometimes they need somebody to show them the way because nobody's giving them a chance. I'm sort of somebody they come to that just say, hey, I need a chance. Two is, I will be honest to say, we live in a climate right now that the workforce is just, it's no easy way of saying it. It looks ugly. It looks ugly because of, again, it's a place to where now, once again, people make entrepreneurs and make it look easy, make it look appealing. Anybody can start a tax ID number, right? And we think because we got a tax ID number, we think we have a business.
We in business,
we
right?
Think we're in business, and not understanding the full dedication that it comes with it. You see what I'm saying? So that's why I always say, I tell my guys when they come work for me, make your mistakes on me. Let me teach you the way. Don't just jump out here and think that you got it all, the tools you need because you're good at changing brakes. No, it takes more to sell these brakes. It's a lot of people out here selling brakes. You're not the only ones that's selling brake jobs. You understand what I'm saying?
Right.
So knowing how to sell that product, knowing about that product. So I'm teaching along the way. But what I will say is too on that is how I find good people is not about, to me, the person who can do the job the best. I'm researching more about that person. I need to know more about them, how dedicated they are, how passionate they are, what type of lifestyle they live. All those things go into the bottom line because you don't have to be the best worker, but if you're dedicated, then I can teach you how to be the best worker. But if you're not teachable, there's nothing really I can do for you. If you feel you got all the answers, honestly, I would tell you up front, this may not be the place for you to be because I still don't have all the answers.
Right.
I'm still trying. If I'm humble enough to say that, then I expect the same thing in return. If we can't feed off each other, if we can't teach each other, then there's no reason to be here. It's just like a friendship. If
Right.
if the friendship is
It's one way. If it's one way, if I'm giving, and you just taking, then why am I here? Because I'm not receiving. It's not reciprocal. It got to be reciprocated.
Absolutely. So that's the biggest part for me, And so far as it works out sometimes it don't. But that's business. And another thing, business is always business. Never take it personal.
So we're gonna be right back. We're gonna pay some bills, and when we get back from this commercial break, we're gonna talk because I heard you say something about tailor-made productions.
Okay, yeah.
So we're gonna definitely jump into the productions part of it, and we also gonna talk about some of the community activism that you got going on. All right, so y'all sit back, relax, don't go nowhere. Once again, it's Al Jones, and you're here with Barbershop Talk Live.
Hello and welcome. Here at the Right Bodywork and Wellness, we provide you with bodywork you can rely on to increase body improvement. WBW provides free consultations to better understand the reasoning for your visit. When a client experiences a WBW massage, they can expect it to be thorough and thought through. The massage is customized to each session. Muscles are handled with care, specifically and individually stretched. Creating a wellness vision to sustain a space of personal comfort, relaxation, and a state of well-being for clients that may endure. With over a dozen different modalities to fit your needs, so we can ensure a quality and well-addressed service. We provide excellent services to athletes and clients of all ages in need. If interested, call or visit the website to schedule your appointment today.
Welcome back to Barbershop Talk Live. I'm your host this week, once again, Mr. Al Jones. If you don't know, you already know. We're sitting here with Mr. Mario Taylor of Taylor Enterprises. I'm telling you, that's gonna stick with you. That's
know,
gonna stick.
I
Of Taylor Made Enterprises, and I just wanted to, like I said, when we got back, I wanted to dive into some of the things that you got going on in the community. I know this week you have it's the Curveball
Unity Day.
Curveball Unity Day. If y'all don't know what Curveball is, you need to find out what it is. And I know Mario gonna tell us about it because it's a wonderful event. It's an event for the community, and it's going on July 12th, if I'm not mistaken.
July
That's
12th,
right,
this
July
Saturday.
12th, this Saturday. So tell us a little about that, Mario. What's going on with that?
Curveball Unity Day is, and let me start off by saying, and it's happening in the grounds of Southside Terrace.
Okay.
And this is, once again, about developing healthy relationships. Where Curveball Unity Day came from, there were some things we talked about on social media. To speed it up, it gravitated to the people. People started talking about it. I had one of my friends who worked with radio station had contacted me and said, you got people buzzing, and you promote. So you need to get back into promoting. This may be something you need to work with. And I put it out, and it just sort of took a life of its own, because what it's centered around, Curveball is a hood game. We didn't have a lot of games growing up in the project. We didn't have video games. We didn't have bikes and those like. So we had to create games along the way. Curveball was something that you throw the ball, hit the curve, that's a point, and it just kind of goes back and forth like that. But what came to mind was, once again, my vision of what I'm seeing that was going on around, centered around Curveball, which was, in my mind, the village syndromes. You had the nosy neighbor sitting here watching, making sure we didn't get any trouble. You had this, you just had so many things going on while that was happening, which was just a big community that was there supporting one another in that process. And I realized at that moment that that's the element that we're missing, which is love in that community, the way we had it then. We was all together, all in that one spot, just enjoying whatever was going on in that circle. So I thought about it, maybe this is something that I can do in the community. Well, what got me was when I contacted the Housing Authority, Augusta Housing Authority, and just see where they was at with this, what they would be, in for me doing this, and I instant got an approval. And I was told that they never done anything like this ever on their grounds, ever.
Okay.
That this was the first time that they was approving something like this. And they was approving it because it was me.
Come on.
That was a humbling type of situation, because it's actually going to happen on the grounds of actually in the apartment where I grew up at. So it's bringing it full circle for me of this whole journey for me. And end up contacting the sheriff's office right off the bat. They sent my permit.
Okay.
And with the liabilities that come with it, I was just pleased and humble that it was approved. And here we are now. Here we are now.
So all right, at Dogwood Terrace Southside, right? July 12th starts at 12, ends at 4 p.m.
Yes.
So someone like me, I'm coming down there. I'm coming to Curveball Unity Day. That's right. I'm coming. What should I expect to see?
You're going to expect a live DJ.
Okay.
You're going to expect spades being played.
Okay.
Curveball
Okay.
being played, but it's also centered around a message. We're going to have guest speakers of people who come from the communities that done something positive in the world. This is only shedding light on the positivity of how growing up in the inner city helped you in your life, navigating through this life. So we're focused on that side of it, of the village syndromes. So these guys will come up there, speak, and tell their story, their journey of what it meant to them, how it benefited them, where they're at now in life. And we'll only focus, again, on the positive side, all centered around the curveball game, which is, in reality, we're trying to create, because they're closing projects right now. They're going to subsidize communities, Section 8s and stuff like that. So we're trying to give a message to these people that, hey, it ain't where you start, it's how it ends. So when they see faces that they can identify with, to say, this person came from here, this person came from here, I can do this. the same thing. So it's basically, in reality, we're giving hope.
I like that.
You know, we're giving hope. So that's what it's about.
All right. I don't want you to answer this yet, but I want you to think about it. What does influence? So answer this for me at the end. The word influence. What does that mean to you? So hold that thought.
Okay.
Keep that thought. But I like the fact that this is what I like the fact that you are doing something in the inner city, in a highly urban area, right? Like you said, they're closing the projects down, and it's not just in Augusta. This projects have been closed. They're closing projects down all over the country in places, right? But we understand by us being from the cities, being in those particular urban areas, how important those areas are to us, and not just the actual project, but those areas close to it and around it. So let me ask you this question: where do you see that? What would you like to see happen for that area? Let's just say within the next 5 to 10 years.
In terms of,
Whether it be revitalization, I hate to use this word, but gentrification.
well, that gentrification that's just going to happen regardless, whether we want to accept that fact or not. It's just a way of life. It's going to happen until we get more educated in terms of saving the community versus running from the community. And I use these for you. When I bought my building out in South Augusta, my realtor, she showed me places in so many other places because she knew it was a sale. It was actually a cash sale, just so you know. And she tried Columbia County. She tried so many other places, and I could have actually purchased buildings in some other places, but I was set on this particular location in South Augusta because I felt like it was in more need of what I was bringing, which is not the business, but the people who may need help, who can't get to work, who's just walking or around the Tobacco Road area, that I felt like it can help more people.
Okay.
So for me, I feel like, which is all, and I understand the challenges that come with it, but I also feel like we have a duty to, it's not necessarily about you making it, it's about what are you doing to bring other people along with you. And so that was always my business model. Now, in terms of what you saying, what do I see in these areas? I can see it's happening right now with the closing of them because now they're going into subsidized Section 8, which is, in my mind, is a good thing because what it's doing is it's incorporating them back into society of not necessarily the project syndrome. You may have a neighbor that goes to work every day that stays in the home. You stay in the home, it can motivate you to want to do the same thing. You become a product of what you're around and what you see, whether you realize it or not. You know, if you're around something long enough, you're going to gravitate to something that's happening around you.
Right.
So for me, I think it's a good thing.
Okay.
You know, and again, relationships. I'm seeing what Trav is talking about, the
Your music relationship. Yeah.
You know, that was developed with the music relationships. That was developed. My days goes back to, I'm gonna call it the Tony Mercedes days. Those in Augustus know who Tony Mercedes was and what he was. You know, he was our Barry Gordy of the area back in those days. I remember a group called the Class Band. Nelson Curry, they call him the Sugar Shack Man now. What's up, Nelson? I always give Nelson props because as a kid, I was that 5, 6-year-old kid on the side of the stage watching, and I'm watching them playing these guitars, and he locked into me at that time. And when he locked into me, they would bring me backstage and let me pick on the guitar and just all these little different things with sounds and drums and and I just automatically became just a part of it. I was in a group to where we would go and do New Edition shows and those natures. I was in the band. I was always a music guy. Never a sport guy. I was a music guy. But with that being said, along the way, I just started developing relationships with artists. It went from just this artist would tell this artist when you're in this area, because it's a small network, whether people believe that or not. And when you get to town, they'll tell this person you need to contact this person, that person, blah, blah. I was one of those guys that was in that loop with that. And it helped the fact that I had friends in radio.
Okay.
So when certain shows would come, such as like the Kiss Fan Reunion, stuff like that, I would help navigate to actually find artists to get on the shows, because the artists I had a direct contact with the artists. I'd have to go through booking and all these other managers and all those kind of things. I had these artists in my phone where I can actually call them right off the bat. Hey, I need this favor. Can you do this? Are you available this days? And automatically they just, for whatever reason, they're willing to work with me. And till this day, there's relationships that has been built behind that. That has nothing to do with music.
That was that word again, relationship.
Relationships, there you go.
Yes, sir.
I mean, these are people I can call up, just have a conversation about life that has nothing to do with music. Yeah, and maybe let me know that some of these guys are people who I've had, that I was a fans of, and to be able to talk with them about them making a certain song, or what was they thinking about, what was they going through, and to be able to talk about what was going on in the studio at that time is a humbling situation for somebody like me, because it made me understand the industry a little better. You know, off script, on script, even we hear them talk about Puffy being he's really a poster child about, he's taking artists' money and all this kind of stuff. He became a poster child for that. If you understand the music industry, you'll understand that in reality, the industry has never benefited the artists. But you have to understand how the industry is set up to understand that. As just a consumer buying a product, you're only going off of public perception of what people, especially what people put out in today's world with social media. You know, I said something last night. I'm never concerned about the person who tells the lie. I'm concerned about who believes the lie. So, right now we live in a world that everybody believes what everybody else is saying without any facts behind it. So for me, what I will say again, building healthy relationships is what gets you to this point.
Okay. So with those relationships, right? Building healthy relationships. I know, and just being an entrepreneur, it comes with ups and downs. It comes with ups and downs. With just being the serial entrepreneur that you have been, and the successful entrepreneur that you have been, what challenges have you faced along the way?
Oh my God, it's so many. It is so many, and what I will say, the biggest challenge I have faced as being an entrepreneur, I would definitely say time with my family. That has been the biggest challenge, because you only got 24 hours in a day. And when you lock into this, each day is planning for the next day. So even if you're on vacation, you're still thinking about what you got to do when you get back, which takes away from you interacting with your family the way you should. And when you don't have that foundation where people really understand that, you can really get lost in that space, because you become somewhat isolated, because the farther you go up, the smaller your circle gets.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? So life as you know it, and I always say it's easier to be at the bottom than at the top, because I know what it feels like at the bottom. That's a comfortable place, because I come from that. So I can navigate through that easily.
Right.
But as you go up, that becomes challenging as you go up, because your circle starts to change, the way people view you starts to change, what people expect from you start to change. Even in your own family, you become somewhat the person who has to save everybody.
Right.
You know what I'm saying? And sometimes that gets heavy on you. So that, I would say, family would be the biggest challenge that I have dealt with along the way, with whether it's friendship, family, time. That's the biggest challenge for me.
Okay. And I could definitely see that, like you said, just by being gone so much, or you're constantly working. I don't even want to say working. I want to say you're constantly growing your business, because it's almost the business. That business is almost, it's a part of your family.
It is.
And no pun intended, when we came up with the name Bike Baby, no pun intended, but that was my wife and I's first baby.
That's right.
We hadn't had any babies together.
That's right.
Before that business.
That's right.
So I totally understand that. And just constantly being on the go, constantly running, constantly working, constantly pouring into other people. And a lot of times not reaping the benefits it is that you feel that you should be reaping. I know it kind of times it could have a negative impact on you mentally, maybe health wise and things of that nature. Let's talk about
I'll
some of
definitely
those
like
things.
to talk about that because I feel like that is something big in this community that we need to talk about. Mental health. Through business, I went through a stage of depression. I went through a stage of anxiety. I was 320 pounds, so I'm sure when a lot of people see this, you know, they see me always asking about the weight loss, you know, and for some reason people automatically assume that you may be sick or something like that, you know, but that wasn't my case. My case was when I put on the weight, it was a reverse effect for me. I put on a lot of weight. I didn't lose weight. I put on a lot of weight. And at that moment, when I went through some things in business, trucks being wrecked, I was running for commissioner at the time. I mean, my life was just, I was all over the place. You know what I'm saying? You know, and what's so funny is some people didn't even identify how mentally I kind of was off or my anxiety was off because you learn how to operate in that norm. It becomes your normacy,
Right.
In a sense. But what I will say is, when I decided to start to pour back into myself, and that's another thing you got to learn. You can't pour into others more than you pour into yourself, because I was stuck on being the good guy versus the nice guy, meaning I didn't know how to say no. You know what I mean? But the good guy, he's gonna be fair, but he knows how to say no. I didn't know how to say no. You know, I was stuck on that. I was stuck on not knowing how to say no. But once I decided to take my life back and started pouring into me, and the same energy that I put into building what I'm doing in terms of business, I took that same energy and I started to pour back in myself. And once I started pouring back in myself, that's when everything on that started to fall in place. And it really became pretty easy. It really became pretty easy in selling it into that, because now I understand the importance of actually family and pouring back into yourself. You can't give more to others that you can't give yourself. You have to give yourself first and become somewhat selfish, if that makes sense. I was 320 pounds. I'm 184 now.
Come on.
My pant size was 54. I'm a 34 now.
That's 140 pounds, man.
Yeah.
That's another person.
That's another person.
That's another person. That's
and
a
I
small
am
woman.
And I am another person.
Come on.
I am another person.
That's
You
it.
know what I'm saying? I am another person.
That's good. That's just the to hear that, the testimony it is that you just gave in that is amazing, because when I see y'all don't understand, when I walked in and I seen you, I was like, okay, this who I'm interviewing, you know. And I thought that was you but that you were always there the whole time.
That's
that
right.
guy, if I would have met you 140 pounds ago, right? This guy has always been there.
Yeah.
We just had to find him again.
That's right.
That's
right.
that's what's up, man.
That's right.
That's good. I like that.
That's right. And that's kind of where it all comes from. So once it becomes full circle, once you understand I always say the universe makes room for what it's supposed to. You just got to follow it out. You got to trust it. You just got to feel it. Don't mean it's going to go in your favor.
Right.
But you got to trust the process, because it's always a process.
Yeah.
You know, most times you ever say that, you ever seen a storm come and it seems like everything is bad. It's just raining. It's just like and you can 10 minutes later, you can see a rainbow and leave no trace of the storm you just went through.
Right.
That's what life is.
Okay. You gotta trust the process.
You gotta trust
You gotta
the
definitely
process.
trust the process.
Trust the process.
Now, one more time, Mario. Y'all, tailor-made Mario, y'all. This my guy, tailor-made Mario. We gonna have to exchange some numbers.
Oh, no doubt. No doubt.
Even if it's not on a business tip, you know, me getting my feet wet into this entrepreneurship thing, I'm definitely looking for a mentor to kind of guide me in the right direction, or even point me in the direction of different places and different avenues. So we definitely gonna link up in regards to that. But I want you to go ahead and let the people know once again what you got going on downtown, what you got going on in Dogwood Terrace on July 12th.
July 12th, 12 to 4 p.m. We're going to be at Dogwood Terrace, which is the Old South Side. It is Curveball Unity Day. This is a community event. We're there to just network, camaraderie one another, show love, show love, show love. That's what it's all about, love, giving hope, That's what we're there for, and that's what it's all about.
Well, y'all heard it right here. Barbershop Talk Live. I was your host this week, Mr. Al Jones. Y'all give it up one more time for my guest, Mr. Taylor Made Mario Taylor. You heard me. We really appreciate you coming by this week, sitting in the chair. I would have faded you up, but my game ain't that tight, bro. But y'all tune in next week. John will be back next week. Before I go, I gotta stay in accordance with the house. So what we gonna do is we gonna go ahead and we gonna get to this giveaway real quick. So check this out, y'all. I got 2 giveaways. The first giveaway, all right, is to Buffalo Wild Wings. It's a gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. Okay? It's a gift card to Buffalo Wild Wings. So I'm going to give this gift card is going to go to the person, whomever can let us know how many pounds did Mario lose over a course of a year? How many pounds did he lose over the course of the year? Okay? That's whoever can answer that question, you're gonna get this Buffalo Wild Wings gift card. All right. And then I have another giveaway. All right, this giveaway is free entry and a free drink of choice to Studio on Broad. If you don't know about Studio, I'm sorry, not Studio, the Scene. I'm sorry. If you want to be seen, you need to be at the Scene. The Scene on Broad. Okay? It's the Scene on Broad. It's free entry and a free drink to the Scene on Broad. All right? Any Friday or Saturday night. Okay? And no expiration on this. All right? So, the question is, where is Mario from? Where is he from? Where was he raised? Okay? What housing development was he raised in? Okay? All right? And not only that, I got to give one away too. So I'm the guest. I'm a match his card. I'm Bike Baby Al. If you don't know, now you know. So Bike Baby, we will be giving away a ride for 2 people. You would get a ride for 2 people. If you can guess how much does Mario do his brake changes for? How much does Mario do his brake changes for? He said a number earlier in the show. All right. I made sure y'all was listening. But how much does Mario do his brake changes for? All right. And before we tap out, before we log out, I want to touch back on one word, that word influence. Have you been thinking about it?
Oh, yeah.
So what does the word influence mean to you?
Motivation, inspiration, inspire. You need to try to inspire people. I feel like, and this goes back to legacy, it's because everybody's going to leave a legacy. And you determine what that legacy is going to look like. I mean, at the end of the day, that's what obituary is. Obituary is nothing more than your beginning and your end. And we're writing right now, this moment. We're writing everything in the middle of it. Even this moment with me and you right now. We're writing the middle. So for me, that's what influential means. And I think all of us have some form of influence on somebody in some form of fashion. You pick and choose whether you want to be positive or negative.
I like that. I like that definition. But once again, y'all, I'm here with my man, Taylor Made Mario Taylor. It's your guest host, Mr. Al Jones, Bike Baby Zone. And that's Barbershop Talk Live, y'all. Y'all tune in next week once again. John will be back. And we'll see y'all then. Until then, peace.
And now, we're live. Yes, live from James Place. And we're talking
Barbershop Talk.
Yes, Barbershop Talk, where nothing is off limits and everything's on the table.
Everything's on the table.
Barbershop Talk.
Oh, and everybody. We here at James Place.
Barbershop.
We're talking barbershop talk.
Barbershop Talk.
Barbershop talk.
At James Place.
Barbershop talk.
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 At James Place. Barbershop talk.
Everything's on the table.